1. Spectre, the town that never was, expansion. The true horror of Spectre isn't that it's haunted by spirits, but that it's haunted by an idea. When Tim Burton's crew left the set behind, they didn't just leave wood and plaster, they left a distorted reality. Because the houses have no backs, just hollow, spider-webbed voids, standing in the center of the town square feels like being a bug under a magnifying glass. The scale is intentionally forced to look more perfect than real life, which triggers a biological, uncanny valley response in the human brain. As the sun begins to dip behind the Tupelo trees, the long shadows of the Spectre signs stretch across the grass like reaching fingers. The goats that inhabit the island are famously eerie. They don't scatter when approached. Instead, they stare with those horizontal, rectangular pupils, standing perfectly still on the crumbling styrofoam stone porches. Locals tell stories of the wet man of the swamp, a figure seen near the waterline who looks like a background extra from a movie that finished filming 20 years ago. The silence here is heavy, dampened by the surrounding water, making every snap of a twig sound like a gunshot. It is a place where the line between once upon a time and never again has completely dissolved. The artifice of Spectre is its most aggressive trait. Those who linger until dusk often report the curtain effect, a sudden, nauseating realization that the horizon feels like a painted backdrop rather than infinite space. The air doesn't circulate through the houses. It traps the scent of stagnant river water and sun-beaten resin, creating a sensory bubble that feels vacuum-sealed. Visitors frequently mention a persistent ringing in their ears, a phantom hum that mimics the sound of a film projector. It is a location that refuses to decay naturally, clinging to its fictional perfection while the Alabama swamp slowly digests its hollow foundations. 2. Old Cahawba, the cursed capital, expansion. Cahawba's wrongness is rooted in a sense of cosmic rejection. In its 1820s heyday, it was the pinnacle of Alabama civilization, but the earth itself seemed to vomit the residents out. The heavy air here is often attributed to the Cahawba curse, a legend born from the sheer frequency of tragedy, floods that rose into second-story windows and yellow fever that turned the grand hotels into morgues. If you walk the Perrine Well site, you'll find an artesian well that has been flowing for over a century, pouring out sulfur-scented water that smells like the deep earth. Near the castle on the river, the site of a notorious Civil War prison, the atmosphere shifts from melancholic to oppressive. Paranormal investigators frequently record disembodied footsteps on the dirt paths that used to be paved streets. The most chilling aspect of Old Cahawba is the Cedar Gate, where the trees have grown in twisted, agonizing shapes, almost as if they are trying to pull themselves out of the soil. It feels like a place where the barrier between the world of the living and the world of the dead has been worn thin by sheer misfortune. The soil of Old Cahawba doesn't just hold history, it seems to actively digest it. Beneath the tangled vines, the original brick foundations are being pulled downward, creating sink spots where the earth feels unnaturally soft, like walking on a lawn. Local lore suggests that the town's grid was laid out over ancient, sacred ground, explaining why the river periodically rises with such targeted violence to reclaim the streets. The silence here is deceptive. It is a pressurized quiet that makes your own pulse sound like a drum. It is a place that reminds you, with every sulfurous breath, that civilization is merely a temporary guest on a hostile landscape. 3. Burnt corn, a name from a nightmare, expansion. The unsettling nature of burnt corn is its interrupted quality. In the 1800s, this was a high-traffic artery of the South, a place of constant movement. Now, the motion has stopped, but the energy remains coiled like a spring. The off sensation is strongest near the old general store, where the weathered wood has turned a bone-white color. Looking through the dusty glass, you can see shelves that still hold rusted tins and old ledgers, as if the proprietor just stepped out for a moment in 1940 and never returned. There is a specific phenomenon reported by travelers on the old Federal Road, the smell of the scorched. Even when there are no fires for miles, people report a sudden, sharp scent of burning grain and old smoke. It is a sensory echo of the Creek War skirmish that gave the town its name. The trees here don't sway, they seem to vibrate. The woods surrounding burnt corn are notoriously dense, and locals warn that if you wander off the main path, the geometry of the forest seems to change, making it nearly impossible to find your way back to the road. It's a town that wants to keep what it has left. This spatial distortion is more than a local legend. Modern hikers frequently report their compasses spinning erratically near the old stagecoach marker. The air in burnt corn has a static quality, a dry, electric prickle against the skin that precedes the scorched scent. It is as if the 1813 fire is still burning in a parallel second of time, just out of reach, but close enough to heat the shadows. When the sun hits the bleached timber of the post office, the wood appears to shimmer, briefly taking on the translucent quality of a fading photograph before the heavy, southern silence snaps the reality back into place. 4. Smut Eye, the Blacksmith Shadow Expansion. In Smut Eye, the wrong feeling is social as much as it is supernatural. It is the quintessential sundown atmosphere where the landscape itself seems to be keeping a secret. The name Smut Eye evokes images of soot and darkness, and that darkness seems to have seeped into the very topography. The community is built on a series of low ridges and hollows that trap the morning mist well into the afternoon, creating a permanent grayscale filter over the world. The off factor is the eyes. You rarely see people, but you feel the weight of gazes from behind screen doors and lace curtains. There is a legend of the blacksmith's dog, a massive, shadowy canine with eyes like glowing coals that patrols the perimeter of the old smithy site. When the wind blows from the east, it carries a metallic tang, the scent of hot iron and coal, even though the forge has been cold for generations. It is a place where the modern world is viewed with suspicion, and the traditions of the Old South are guarded with a ferocity that feels like a physical barrier. The stillness in Smut Eye is a deliberate, defensive act. The mist doesn't just cling to the hollows. It seems to muffle the very frequency of the present, leaving you stranded in a timeline where the Iron Age grit of the 1800s never truly dissipated. When the blacksmith's dog is sighted, it is often preceded by a sudden, localized drop in barometric pressure that makes your lungs feel heavy, as if breathing in the very soot that gave the town its name. This isn't just a place of memory. It is a fortress of lingering spirits where the boundary between a shadow and a person is often indistinguishable. 5. Prattville, the Ghost in the Gin Expansion. While the Black Lady is the most famous resident, the entire Continental Gin complex feels like a massive, sleeping predator. The brickwork is stained with a century of oil and sweat, and the sheer verticality of the buildings creates a sense of industrial vertigo. When you stand at the base of the mills, the sound of Autauga Creek rushing over the dam creates a low-frequency hum that is known to induce anxiety and hallucinations. Workers in the nearby shops often refuse to enter the old gin buildings after dark, claiming that the rhythm of the machines can still be heard. It's a rhythmic, metallic clanking that originates from the empty assembly floors. The off feeling here is one of exploitation. The town was a company town, and that DNA of control and repetitive labor is baked into the architecture. The shadows in the mill windows don't move with the sun. They seem to linger, watching the residents of the Fountain City go about their cheerful lives while the heart of the town remains a cold, mechanical tomb. The air around the gin complex carries a static charge that makes the hair on your arms stand up before you even see the Black Lady. This is a place where the brick walls seem to have recorded the monotonous, grinding sounds of the 19th century, playing them back as an infrasonic pulse that vibrates in your chest. When the moon reflects off the black water of Autauga Creek, the factory's jagged silhouette resembles a row of broken teeth. It is a monument to a time when men were cogs, and that heavy, metallic desperation still anchors the town to a past that refuses to be paved over. 6. Suggsville, the Forgotten University Expansion. Suggsville is a masterclass in geographical amnesia. The sensation of being off here comes from the realization that human achievement is temporary. In the 1850s, the Suggsville Male Academy was a prestigious institution, and the town was a center of enlightenment. Now, the forest has digested the buildings. The most unsettling spot is the old Confederate corner, where a lone chimney stands in a field of briars. Travelers report that their GPS devices often glitch in Suggsville, spinning in circles as if the satellites can't find a coordinate for a town that no longer exists. There is a specific quietude here, a lack of bird and insect noise, that creates a sensory deprivation effect. It feels like the land is shushing you, trying to keep you from noticing the foundations of the university hidden beneath your feet. To walk through Suggsville is to realize that in another 100 years, your own home might be nothing more than a marker in the road that everyone ignores. 7. Mooresville, the 1818 time capsule expansion. Mooresville's wrongness is its lack of entropy. In a world of decay, a town that stays exactly the same is terrifying. The brick post office, the oldest in the state, looks so functional and clean that you expect to see someone in a top hat walk out with a letter. This theatrical level of preservation makes you feel like an actor who has forgotten their lines. The off vibe is particularly strong in the Peepo Day house, where the architecture is designed to catch the very first light of dawn. Locals whisper that the town's founders never really left. They just became part of the scenery. There is a pervasive feeling that you shouldn't touch anything. Not the fences, not the leaves, not the bricks, because you might leave a modern fingerprint on a perfect 19th century specimen. It is a town that feels like a trap designed to lure you into staying just one more hour until you, too, become a permanent, frozen fixture of the 1818 landscape. The air around the gin complex carries a static charge that makes the hair on your arms stand up before you even see the Black Lady. This is a place where the brick walls seem to have recorded the monotonous, grinding sounds of the 19th century, playing them back as an infrasonic pulse that vibrates in your chest. When the moon reflects off the black water of Autauga Creek, the factory's jagged silhouette resembles a row of broken teeth. It is a monument to a time when men were cogs, and that heavy, metallic desperation still anchors the town to a past that refuses to be paved over. 8. Bayou La Batre, the low-tide Gloom expansion. The off sensation in the bayou is the feeling of being sunk. The ground is soft, the water is murky, and the air is so humid it feels like a liquid. When the gloom sets in, a specific type of sea fog that rolls off the Gulf, the masts of the shrimp boats look like the legs of giant, skeletal insects wading through the mist. There is a local legend of the Ghost Fleet, ships that were lost in Hurricane Katrina but reappear on the radar of local fishermen during storms. The town's relationship with the water is one of mutual hostility. The bayou gives them a living, but it also tries to take their lives every few years. This creates a 1,000-yard stare in the local architecture, houses on stilts that look like they are trying to tiptoe out of the mud. It is a place of deep, dark secrets held in the silt of the marsh, where the tide doesn't just bring in water, it brings in the debris of 100 broken dreams. The gloom of Bayou La Batre carries a unique acoustic property. Sound travels across the water in a way that makes distant engine churns feel like they are directly behind you. When the tide retreats, it leaves behind a glistening, oily sludge that seems to pulse with a life of its own, revealing rusted anchors and tangled nets that look like sun-bleached ribcages. There is a primal, sink or swim, energy here that turns every sunset into a confrontation. It is a town where the horizon is a shifting, untrustworthy boundary, and the salt water doesn't just corrode iron. It eventually dissolves the memory of everything it touches. 9. Gainesville, the Silent River Port expansion. Gainesville is where the Southern Gothic dial is turned to 10. The wrong feeling here is the sheer density of the past. The town feels crowded, not with people, but with residue. The massive cedar trees in the Gainesville cemetery are so old and heavy that their branches rest on the tombstones, literally embracing the dead. The off factor is the grandeur gap, the distance between the massive, ornate columns of the mansions and the absolute stillness of the streets. It feels like a movie set for a period drama where the actors went on strike decades ago. People report seeing a lady in gray near the river docks, waiting for a steamboat that will never arrive. The river itself, the Tombigbee, flows with a dark, sluggish energy, and the sound of the water hitting the muddy banks sounds remarkably like a low, rhythmic chanting. It is a town that is tired of the sun and is simply waiting for the forest to finish pulling the roofs down. The residue in Gainesville is almost physical, a film of fine, gray dust that seems to settle on every surface regardless of the weather. When the kudzu vines tighten their grip on the rotting Greek revival columns, they produce a low, creaking sound that mimics a human sigh, as if the buildings themselves are weary of their own persistence. The grandeur gap creates a psychological pressure. You find yourself whispering in the street, afraid to disturb the heavy, judgmental silence of the architecture. It is a town suspended in a permanent twilight, where the distinction between a standing mansion and a tomb is merely a matter of who currently holds the keys. 10. Huttsboro, the drained town expansion. Huttsboro is the final stage of a town's life cycle. The off sensation here is the hollow sound of the wind. Because so many of the buildings are empty, the wind whistles through the broken glass and rusted pipes, creating a discordant pipe organ effect that can be heard throughout the downtown. The wrongness is most evident at the old railroad crossing. In its prime, Huttsboro was a place of frantic noise and steam. Now, the tracks are rusted and the station is a shell. There is a psychological weight to seeing a great American Main Street in this state. It triggers a fear of the future. Locals tell of the conductor, a phantom figure seen checking a pocket watch near the tracks at sunset, as if waiting for a train that was decommissioned in 1955. Huttsboro isn't just a place where people left. It's a place where the possibility of people left. It is the end of the line, literally and figuratively, leaving behind a silence so absolute it feels like a physical presence. The silence in Huttsboro isn't a lack of sound. It is a heavy, pressurized void that makes your ears pop as if you've changed altitude. When the pipe organ wind stops, the resulting stillness is so profound it feels like a physical weight against your eardrums. Every cracked sidewalk and peeling storefront represents a ghost future that never arrived, leaving the town suspended in a state of permanent, hollowed-out waiting. To walk these streets is to feel the phantom vibration of a locomotive that will never crest the horizon, a sensory reminder that once the momentum of a community stops, the vacuum it leaves behind is rarely filled by anything but the dust. The Southern Gothic Sentinel, a final look. To traverse these 10 towns is to understand that Alabama's landscape is a living archive, one that does not always welcome the living. The heavy air described by locals is more than a regional quirk. It is the atmospheric weight of stories that refuse to be buried. From the cinematic artificiality of Spectre to the industrial echoes of Prattville and the receding pulse of Huttsboro, these locations serve as a reminder that a town is more than its population count. It is a collective memory, a psychological imprint on the soil that persists long after the last door is locked and the last streetlight flickers out. The unease found in these corners of the state stems from a disruption of time. Whether it is the frozen perfection of Mooresville or the erased history of Suggsville, the sensation that something is wrong is often just the brain's reaction to witnessing the fragility of human progress. Nature is a patient predator in the South, waiting with kudzu and silt to reclaim the grandest mansions of Gainesville or the salt-stained docks of Bayou La Batre. In the end, these towns aren't just places you visit. They are experiences that linger in the mind like the scorched scent of burnt corn. They invite us to look closer at the shadows, to listen to the pipe organ, wind, and to acknowledge that in the heart of the deep South, the past is never truly gone. It is just waiting for the sun to go down. The Southern Gothic experience is defined by this very transition, the moment a place stops belonging to the people who built it and starts belonging to the land itself. In the humid stillness of an Alabama evening, the distinction between a ghost and a memory becomes irrelevant. Whether you are standing on the hollow porches of Spectre or navigating the silt-choked docks of Bayou La Batre, you are a witness to a slow-motion vanishing act. These 10 towns serve as a haunting map of what remains when the pulse of progress skips a beat, leaving behind a heavy air that acts as a physical barrier between the modern world and the ancient, judgmental soil of the Deep South. To visit is to understand that the off feeling isn't a glitch in reality, but a glimpse into its true, fragile nature. It is the realization that the past isn't a sequence of events, but a layer of sediment, always present and waiting for the right moment to pull the present back into the mud.